The last physical presentation of today is Thomas Putz, project manager at Evolaris Next Level in Austria. He's going to present the project mobile game-based learning. In this case, the goal of this particular project is to explore both the possibilities of mobile learning and game-based learning, which is for me a very interesting point, and merging the two technologies, or the two possibilities of technologies. Okay, thank you, Thomas.
Thank you. Okay, we need to start without coffee. Okay, I hope it will work. Thanks for listening to me a little bit. I want to invite you to go back with me in a time before the iPhone, before this wonderful smartphones technologies. So I want to show you a little bit what we did in a Framework 6 program, a project funded in this program. We developed a platform I wanted to show you, and what is for me the most important, because it's some kind of demonstration, to show you a little bit about the games and the types of games and we developed and why we did exactly these ones. First of all, who is Evolaris? Very, very short. We are a small research company located in Graz, in the south of Austria, dealing with research on what can you do with mobile phones beside checking emails and beside taking phone calls, mainly in the field of customer relationship management. But we found out that the main technology and processes are not so different from learning. That's why we applied for this nice project and got the funding for. We involved more than 30 researchers from 11 project partners in 5 countries. Spent quite a lot of money and resources, and a lot of resources in the pedagogical framework of our project and our games. And of course, because it's funded under the framework program, we needed as well to develop something what you can take into your hands and try and play with. The usual aims for us, very important, was the point 3. We needed to develop or wanted to develop some kind of classification systems. And for us, very important was too that the mobile phone, little bit different approach than in the last presentation we had. For us, it was more important to use the mobile phone as the link between learners and teachers, and not as a static computer where you get your information simply transferred to. And we wanted to find at least one type of game where we can bridge real and virtual worlds. Nothing to do with augmented reality, nothing to do with the cool things we can do now. It's a step back, but you will see it's quite interesting. Okay, all projects have a lot of deliverables. You can download nearly everything what we have. But this was the main idea what we have. Somewhere is content coming in our platform. We have some kind of software tool for the game selections. You have the possibility, I want to teach this topic with this target group, with this setting. Is there a nice game type from your 3 you offer? You may download it then from our website. And then the idea to connect the real world via the mobile phone to some kind of games and learning. This is our wonderful platform. It's open source. You can take, most of it is open source, not everything is open source. For us was very important at this time when we developed this platform, GPRS was the fastest available mobile phones as a connection type. So we needed to find a tool to deliver the games in a very easy way. This is our download tool for games, which can be then spread via Bluetooth simply in the room if you want. And very interesting for us, and which is used now too, is the part on the right side, this asynchronous communication thing, because we now can interact teachers and learners via SMS or email even. Very interesting, the teacher sends an email to our system. There it's converted to an MMS to the pupils. Then the pupils answer via SMS, but the teacher gets an email back because he doesn't have necessarily his cell phone on. And all the things a platform needs to do, so reporting, logging, and so on. Once again, the whole thing is a nice picture, and our tool for communication is the cell phone. One of the important links, we have everything still on SourceForge, EUPL 1.0. You can take it as you want, enhance it, give us a note if you found some errors, we can correct some bugs. Okay, the games. For us, the most important was to find out what kind of games we could use to attract different learner types, what kind of pedagogical models we can place behind. So we thought we'd try 3 different approaches. One is simply knowledge testing, quizzes, and some kind of simulation. The next was, okay, let's try to use the adventure game type for teaching and learning. And the third was really to integrate real world with a learning environment. This was then the Get Real, which in my opinion, or for me personally, was the most interesting game of all. Some recommendations we developed during our project. Very important was the point 3 for us. Don't try to simply port some PC style games to the mobile. You have to invent something new. And the last point for us was to very important, make it fun. Our target group have been young adults, students, and elderly in secondary education. But if learning makes not fun, they will not use it at all. So we tried hard to do it. Okay, some of the design decisions we had. Very important for us was that it is that we create games. This was the main target. Learning content was then the next step behind, but the first idea was it must be some game. Should be modular, should be customizable, of course. And our attention was simply to the speed and to timing, response times of the mobile phones and so on, because these have been quite old devices. And keep user costs down. Yeah, this was still a topic. As I learned today in Austria, it's not so much a topic. Maybe you heard about. We are, after Finland and Sweden, the 3rd cheapest in rates of mobile communication. For example, nowadays you can get your iPhone for even for €0 if you have luck. If you have a contract for 15 gigabyte for €15 a month. So this is not really in Austria a topic anymore. Good. This is very important that we try, as I said, to focus on different learner types, different pedagogical concepts behind. Here's some ideas what phones we used. So maybe some of you remember that you had one of these old bricks in hands once. Okay, our first game. Two components. One is simply check knowledge, test knowledge. And the next is try to simulate a difficult situation. We chose then as content something from the health sector, because one of our partners used then these games for testing, and still it is in use. And it was interesting to teach decision making, very quickly, fastly to decide. You will have this anyway to read, so I don't need to read you who whose theories we used for the 3 content, activity, and process goals. But in fact, it was inspired by some TV shows you may know. So The Apprentice and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. So to get the connection for the people, for the pupils to come in. And you only can gain points if you're fast and if you learn from your quality decision process. Here's some some small pictures. You can download this game, works on many newer phones too. I tried today. Maybe the resolution is not so nice. So first, simply slides, cards. You have to answer your questions, and as usual, immediate feedback, right answer, correct answer, whatever. So this is all the same. And then during our first testing phase, we got the feedback from a lot of students. Please, we don't want to be tested by this ugly guy with the cigar. Please replace the picture. Absolutely no problem, because as maybe you remember, we have some kind of authoring tool in the platform, pictures to exchange, questions to add, absolutely no problem. The only interactive in the means of that the phone is the communication part between the teacher and the learner is that you can send back your so what is it in English? Your points, your grades, your points you made, and then you are listed in this nice high score list. But only with a very short SMS, we realized that the platform then can transform the data from the SMS into this list. Okay, after you did it finally first, you had then this. You proved your knowledge with these cards. Then you had to solve a crisis. We have here in this authoring tool a lot of possibilities to show you how it works, to edit it, but I show you simply how it is there. The idea here in this one game is that you arrive at a car accident and a lot of people lay on the floor, sit somewhere, and you need to decide very fast whom to help first and how. And after you did the first, then you move to the next. The next 3 choices are open. This you can change whatever and however you want. It's only decision making, and this is the example what we use to find very fast decisions. And the counting of your points is correct order of the people and how fast, and the correct treatment and how fast you did your decisions. And then you get some feedback written, what was the best, what you could do, and how you did it. It's very, very funny. As I said, you can download the game, try it yourself. You need to be quite fast. The next one was the idea of colleagues of us in Croatia who are so fond of their adventure gaming capabilities. So we decided, okay, let's try. What can we do in these small screens for adventure games? And we decided we create a very nice game called Mogaball as a template again. And I can only show you some small aspects of this game because it's so enormously rich in features. For example, you can use it, we can have different type of avatars. We have, even like in a real adventure game, you have different resources for everybody, different abilities, and they get stronger or weaker if you answer a question correct or wrong. There are different types of quizzes in there as well, different types of feedback, what you have to do, the same type as you have often in adventure games. You need to find tools in the correct order to use them. Here once again, a lot of screenshots. In the middle down, we used it for students to find out how about their skills, their personal skills for the labor market. The other two outside are again ideas from the health sector. One of these games is still in use with a different focus. This is used for the final tests for ongoing sailors and captains to test their knowledge in case of accidents on sea. What are the regulations, what it is. And when we introduced this the very first time in 2007, the students felt great. First of all, panic. We need to do some kind of multiple choice test on a phone. But the feedback was so great that the Professor Sisic decided he will never give this away anymore. He wants to know more about the authoring tool, because he will use this in every test from now in this course, because the feedback from the student was so great. Here you see what we have. You have enormously amount of possibilities in this game. You can use it nearly for everything what you want to do, want to use. The authoring tool is in the platform, and additionally we have a separate project on SourceForge where you can have only the Mogaball code to download, because it's so powerful. Some ideas what you can do with it. And the last game which I like most, as I guess more than once said, we tried to do some kind of server-side game. To bring students out of the classroom, out in the real world, to connect real world and the learning environment. And we wanted that they need to collaborate. This was very important too, that not one alone can solve. Really, it's teamwork what has to be done there. So maybe you know this inquiry-based learning with the feedback loops and the wanting and doing. Quite interesting, you may read in the references about, but really, how does it work? This is the idea. Again, a lot of text. How can we do it? We send SMS to a group, give them some work to do, some targets to solve. They go out, send back SMS, MMS, everything in a block, and then in the classroom we work on it. Simply it works like this. We have different teams going out. Very simple, MMS. I have here a very, very simple film to show you how this works. I deliberately switched off the sound because it's very silly music. You know it from the very first video games, maybe this. Okay. This here we used in schools in Graz and Vienna and Maribor in Slovenia. The children learned about Baroque style, and then they got the order. So form 3 groups, go out in your neighborhood around the school and find buildings in the Baroque style. And keep an eye on the time, you have only limited number of time. Part of the group was allowed to stay in school, to use Google, for example, to check which building is in Baroque style, and to SMS the information to their group partners. And they ran to the building, made a very nice picture with their phone, and send it back via MMS. The idea was, if the mobile phone is capable of mobile internet, Sure, why you can't? You can check the block your same while you are out. On the other hand, if you don't have, and if it's too costly, you simply do it in the classroom. We use these QR codes, these 2D codes for direct links, but this was not such nice because maybe you know it didn't work. So all ran around, made a lot of pictures. Some are faster, some are slower, but time is counting, less than a minute nearly, and back to classroom. And now these nice people simply went for celebration. In other groups, we made this blog to websites, and now they can be used in school on the school website to see about the Baroque. In one school in Maribor, it even went to the municipality website to show the cultural heritage. So there's a lot of things you really can do with it. Of course, we did some more on other levels too. Here, for example, is a screenshot from the blog of a course on university about the digital economy. The idea was students have to run out in their neighborhood, or in this case in Graz, to find out where is e-business, digital economy or whatever used, and then to discuss if it's a very good implementation or a bad implementation. Then they had to write in the group a small work about this homework. So it was here in several loops to approach this topic. Yeah. This was for us too quite interesting, because first of all, students said, hey, with these tools we can learn. It's easier for us to learn. We are higher motivated. The motivation is still high for these ones who do the exams in the University of Rijeka. Others are not longer allowed to use it, unfortunately, after project funding ends. What we learned too from the students is that they got some new skills for using the technology. For example, some didn't know how to make a picture and send an SMS, and this then an MMS with this picture, and this was great for them. Now they can do it, and the parents get crazy because of the costs. Social skills too, from time to time, especially in this last game when they need to work together. What was interesting for us from a viewpoint of teachers, first of all, when everything was ready and set for them, great, hey, super, let's try, let's do it. Do we get some bonus if we use it? Some of them got, some of them not. So there was a different intention of the usage during the teachers, within the teachers. But most of them said, hey, it's a great thing, let's try it, let's use it. On the other hand, they had some difficulties with the time they will need or would need to implement content in there. Even with our tools we provided them, it needs simply more time to think about the methodology, think about how you want to use it, and to produce some content. Good. Yeah. I'm open for questions. This is more interesting. And please feel free to download from the m-bl.com site the games to try a little bit yourself.
Thank you, Thomas. Questions?
Hi. I think you said earlier that you build the games first and then think about mapping the learning to the games. I found that quite an interesting comment, because normally I think about this kind of thing and think about what you're trying to teach and then think about what's the best tool for teaching that particular thing. Why did you do it the other way around?
Because in the development of the project, we decided we want decision making in the field of health. This should be our main focus. Plus some things for e-business, digital business around. And then we said, okay, let this be our topic, and then decide about game types, learning types, and then what could fit there. But we knew the topic at the beginning, so it's not so that we went out in the blue and the green there.
Hi, you said in your last slide that students improved their social skills, they were feel more self-confident, etc. But which part was because of the mobile thing and which was because of the game-based thing? I mean, how can you measure the impact of both technologies at the same time?
That's a very good point. We thought about a lot, and I don't have the actual figures now from our research work in mind, but it's for sure somewhere in one of the deliverables. The main thing was about the games. This was the main idea, that they enjoyed to play. And the learning went, let's say, as a side dish, but it went with it. And they've been quite engaged that with games they are allowed to learn and to use their communication tools, their mobile phones, for learning. I hope this answered your question, otherwise I need to find the deliverable to see the exact figures and the way we did it.
Thanks, Thomas. Steve Vosloo. How big was your kind of group of learners, students that you worked with? Is the one question. And second part is, that project came before. What are your thoughts now and going forward? Are you guys thinking some iPhone apps, or, what are your thoughts?
Okay. We had several hundred students in nearly all countries of the project involved in different phases of the project. So first group was the first testing, for example, from the University of Vienna. They had in one course about security and human rights to develop a map of video cameras in public spaces in the inner center of Vienna. And this was then discussed, and they used our Game 3 model to find the cameras. Or in Rijeka, every 150 students every year need to use this. In Maribor and Graz, we had 2 simple pupils and unemployed young adults to use for finding out their skills, and so on and so on. The exact figures are unfortunately one in the deliverables, but several hundred in total. Okay, what we wanted to do, we applied for several international projects with the same idea to develop it further, but mainly the feedback from the evaluators was, this technology, you need to use iPhone, you need to use Android, you need to use whatever, but this technology, okay. Now we applied recently and hope to get the funding on a national project to combine the results of this project plus another project we are in key to nature and taxonomy, in finding out what plant is in front of you or animal is in front of you, to use the tools developed there for naming a plant together with our M-learning principles and game-based principles to make larger courses out of it. But we are open for all project proposals you want to do in this field of M-learning. It's only a little bit difficult to implement now such ideas without the technology, where I personally don't think that we should focus now. If we want to reach a large number of students, we should not focus on iPhone and Android, because it's still not available to a large number of students.
Some more questions?
Everybody needs coffee.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I think the whole point of game-based learning is engagement in the player, which is a very complex concept, because it combines storytelling, game storytelling, formal aspects of the game, and balance between goals and skills needed. So what did you, or how did you focus on engagement in your project? I mean, how did you think in engagement, in player engagement in your project?
The first point was that one of our principles is it must make fun.
Yeah.
So this was on these 6 principles we had for the development of the games, and we always try to think how we can involve people in different areas. For example, number 1 in the game type number 1, it's speed. You need to be fast, and this is a challenge. And tuck, tuck, tuck. Not only a challenge in thinking, it's even here you need to be fast with your thumbs, and it was quite interesting to watch them actually. Unfortunately, we didn't have video to film them, but it was quite funny to do this. In the second game type, it was the engagement factor, was this adventure game. I'm in there, must move around. Hey, what is here? What is there? Is there a question, or does this bring points for me, and so on? And the last time was then this group feeling. The group is out. The group has limited time to finish their tasks.
What is the sustainability model of your project? Because what is your sustainability model for the projects? Because it's my impression that when the fund ends the project as well, or how do you scale that?
This is quite easy to answer. Evolaris itself, we are not an educational company, so we used the software developed, used a part of the platform to develop it further, and now it's for the largest bank in Austria and Eastern Europe, the main communication channel in mobile with their clients. So because the technology is the same, the university in Rijeka uses the whole system with their one game. In Maribor and one small organization in Graz dealing with unemployed young adults, use still the game. Maribor I know for sure, Graz I don't know for sure. Still use the game for finding out the skills on the labor market. And we run around, all of us, to give this to the people. Take the open source code, take our results and use it. We ourselves never thought about to commercialize it. We don't want money from it.
Okay.
Unfortunately, it is as it is.
No, I mean, it's fine, but I believe that one project can not make money, but can finance the next one, you know, to cover new creations. It doesn't have to be profitable, but it could promote other project and scale the results of the use of your software.
Definitely.
That's why.
Definitely it could.
So not depending 100% on having all of these ideas on hold because you don't have the funding.
Yeah, that's it. That's why Evolaris did what we took out of the project what we needed. The others took out what they needed.
Okay.
Okay, so thank you again, Thomas, and I think we can now have the coffee break.